The fastest way to discover your limiting beliefs is to set a stretch goal for yourself. And the second, like let's say for the person that's at 25,000 a month who wants to go to 50,000 a month, once you set that 50,000 a month, the limiting beliefs and the stories around that are going to come up immediately, right? It's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I'm going to have to work twice as much. That's usually the first limiting belief that comes up. If I double my sales, I have to double how much I work. It might be that I don't have the right team to do that. We don't have enough clients. Immediately, all those limiting beliefs come up. So our opportunity as coaches is to help our clients identify the limiting belief and then peel that limiting belief apart, which we can certainly also talk about how to do that and how that helps people take the next step.
Welcome to the Super Clinic Project Podcast, where we take regular clinic owners and turn them into cash-based multimillionaire entrepreneurs. Warning, if you're a doctor who listens to this podcast regularly, you will make millions of dollars. Do not listen to this podcast unless you want to be a successful clinic owner who helps thousands of patients achieve their health goals and adds more money than you can imagine to your bank account. You've been warned.
Welcome to the Super Clinic Project Podcast, where we take regular clinic owners and we turn them into super clinic owners. I'm one of your hosts, Jennifer Gligoric, and today you'll be here with me, and I have a guest you're going to love. She is going to shift your limiting beliefs about sales as a clinic owner in 3 easy steps. She's a founder, 5-time best-selling author, sales strategist, and speaker who's helped thousands of business owners double or triple their revenue while working less, which is what we all want to do. Before she cracked the code and discovered neuro-linguistic programming, she struggled to scale. But once it clicked, she saw $100,000 months, and now she teaches other people to do the same. So let us give a great Super Clinic welcome to Ursula Mentjes, founder of Ursula Inc. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jennifer. Super excited to be here and the conversation that we're going to have today.
Me too. I'm really excited to talk to another coach who does a lot of what we do because I feel like it's validating.
Right? Yeah.
It is very, very validating. Also, too, I just want to let everybody know that Ursula has been so kind to give us some incredible resources and tools. So we'll have the link on our school like we always do. Go to superclinicproject.com. You go to our free school, but the link takes you to ursulainc.mykajabi.com/resources. And I will give this to you again it'll be in all of our show notes and all the platforms that you're listening to this on. So let's just dive right in. You have these great strategies to double your business as a small business owner. And you talk about the 3 key ways. And of course, we have clinic owners, but still the same thing. If you've got a business, you've got to be in sales. So tell me a little bit about that and how this helped you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we talked about, let's just dive right in, the 3 tips. Like if you really want to grow your business, in order to hack that cycle, there's 3 things you need to know. 1, get crystal clear on what your revenue stretch goal is. Not just the one that I kind of like to reach this year, but if it's $1 million, if it's 10 million, whatever it is, get clear on that. If you're not clear on that, it's like you haven't created the container to get there. The second you do that, all those limiting beliefs, which we'll talk about later today, all those limiting beliefs come up. So that's an opportunity to clear those beliefs. Once you do that, the next steps you'll see are in front of you, and then it's up to you to take those steps. But you're much more willing to take those steps when you've created the container for it and cleared those limiting beliefs.
So I've noticed that when trying to set goals with certain clients, there's 2 different types. The ones that are like, I want, and they name a number that they don't believe they'll ever hit. They're not actually connected to that number in any real sort of way. It's just something that they've heard that they feel like they need to hit. And then they're on the way other scale, they'll give a number that is so easy that they know automatically there'll be a hit. There's no stretch within it. So can you tell me, just coach to coach, how are you able to get them to this realistic number that's also a little bit of stretch where they can really get into growth, not just for them, but to up level their skills?
Yeah. First of all, I totally understand that, as humans, we have different risk tolerance levels, right? Like some of us are bigger risk takers than others. So our big risk takers are going to be like, I want 10 million. And our others who aren't as big of risk takers might be like, I want 250,000. So we start with where they are, Jennifer, right? It's like, what's your current revenue? And sometimes people aren't even 100% sure. So it's okay. We're going to dig into the numbers. Let's say I'm at 25,000 a month. At a minimum, we encourage our clients to go for a double. Right. So if I'm at 25,000 a month, what would it take to get to 50,000? And that also helps me as a coach gauge where they are right now. Is that scary for them? Does that seem easy for them? Can they already see the way? So that it's kind of a massaging process of figuring out that goal. Now, if someone's like right away, they're like, I want to more than double. I want a 10x. Well, then I have some questions for them. Like, what would have to happen to make that happen? What would have to happen with your nervous system? What would have to happen with your team? And we unpack that to make sure it's possible and that they feel good about getting there. And another way to do it is kind of to say, what's the least amount that I would like to be on an annual basis? And what's the most revenue wise? And usually it's a number in between there that's still a stretch, but believable at some level.
I love that. Yeah. And it's so important to do these exercises and to really ask yourself why. Like, why is this number important? How many staff would I need for that? Do I need to get certified in anything else? Is the current, real estate that I'm in, am I renting? Should I buy something? Should I do something? The thought process needs to go for all of that. If I really want this, then what's it really going to take to get me in there? And once you do that, if you can reverse engineer it, then all of a sudden you have some real goals that you can assign and set accountabilities with the staff and really get there. But why do you think that there is this, I don't know, fear? I guess we'll talk about limiting beliefs here.
Yeah.
How do limiting beliefs, because I think some of it's a limiting belief about money. People are just afraid to even think about it. So how do you feel that you've seen that they block people, owners from growing their business? And how do you help them change that?
Yeah, absolutely. The fastest way, Jennifer, and I'm sure you've seen this, the fastest way to discover your limiting beliefs is to set a stretch goal for yourself. And the second, like, let's say for the person that's at 25,000 a month who wants to go to 50,000 a month, right? Once you set that 50,000 a month, the limiting beliefs and the stories around that are going to come up immediately, right? It's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I'm going to have to work twice as much. That's usually the first limiting belief that comes up. If I double my sales, I have to double how much I work, right? It might be that I don't have the right team to do that. We don't have enough clients. Immediately, all those limiting beliefs come up. So our opportunity as coaches is to help our clients identify the limiting belief and then peel that limiting belief apart, which we can certainly also talk about how to do that and how that helps people take the next step.
And so let's talk about how to do that. How do you work on that with them?
Yeah. So I'm certified in NLP. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. I got certified a minute ago, back in 2005. And I'll tell you, it's been one of my greatest tools in my toolbox because I have used the NLP tools over and over again with our clients. The number one tool I use is how to shift a limiting belief. What used to be a very long process and would take a lot of time with our clients. Now I have a quick hack that can help shift it really quickly, which I'm going to share with you right now. So again, the fastest thing to do is set that stretch goal, right? Let's say it's the $50,000 one. And then notice and ask yourself, what's the number one limiting belief that I have about reaching this $50,000 goal? Let's say it's like, well, I'm going to have to work twice as much to get there. That's a common one that I hear. So then my next question is, what are 3 things that are potentially not true about that limiting belief? Well, number 1, if I grow to that level, I'm probably going to have team. So it's possible I might actually be working less. Second, I know other people in my industry who are doing it and they spend a lot of time at the golf course or the spa. So it's probably, possible for me as well. And third, when you dig into this, like seeing like, okay, is it possible? Is this possible for me to do this as well? Like, what else do I have to think about? It's like you start to see, yeah, of course it's possible, right? What else is not true about it is that there's always a way. And there's probably things in your business, in your life where you've already experienced this, right? Where you've made that shift in thinking, where you thought something was going to take a lot of time, or you thought something was going to be really hard until you have an experience where that wasn't even true. So the second you do that, those limiting beliefs start to fall away, and then you can create a new belief. My new belief process, really quickly, is very simple. 2 of the most powerful words in the English language that override the subconscious mind are I am. Whatever you say after that, your subconscious mind ticks on, right? So we love to say, I am a successful business owner whose revenue is $50,000 a month and I only work 10 hours a week. We like to connect the revenue with how little I'm working because that pushes on all the other pieces in the business for systems, processes, team that have to happen to help them get there.
I love the I am statements. I used to follow Barefoot Doctor, right? It was this guy, and he Tai Chi, and it's more personal things. And so the one that I would wrote when I needed opportunity, I had these many businesses, and at that time it was I need to meet more people. I'd been working remote almost a decade at that point. Mm-hmm. This was before it was cool. And so my I am always in the right place at the right time with the right people, doing the right things, getting the right result. And I would say that, and then I had the podcast at that time, and all of a sudden I just started making connections with people that got me to where I needed to be. I just cannot even begin to tell you guys how powerful what she just said, what Ursula just said, is if you put those I am statements, but you also tie it to your income and use some accountability language in there as well. No, that's really good. Yeah, because it has to deal with what you're comfortable with and what, we talked about risk, and you talk about this too. You talk about a comfort zone and a danger zone. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah. So back in the day, I used to hear, we used to hear people talking about their comfort zone all the time, and like, oh, you don't want to be in your comfort zone because that's kind of like your danger zone. You get stuck there. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And if I leave my comfort zone, where do I go? So I started studying that, and I had to write a whole book about it called The Belief Zone. And what I discovered, right, is that, our subconscious mind is simply keeping us safe. We talked a little bit about this already. So so think about a circle around yourself, and let's call that your comfort zone. This is what you know. This is what's familiar. This is what you're used to. Using the example from before, that might mean, $25,000 a month $25,000 a month in my business. It's safe. I know how to get there. I have the right team. I work X amount of hours a week. It's easy. The second you start setting that next level goal, let's say $50,000, it starts to kick up everything, right? And that's where when you shift the belief, like we just talked about, and you step into this new I am belief, you leave your comfort zone and you move into what I call a new belief zone. It's almost like taking on a new identity, the identity of the business owner who's at $50,000 a month. What decisions would they make? How would they show up? How many hours a week would they work, right? So you step from your comfort zone into this new belief zone, and then start to take the new steps from that new perspective, that new identity.
Yeah, I would say that Ursula is very right on this, but also too, I would like to bring in that sometimes comfort doesn't mean you're comfortable. There's a lot of times where you're actually quite uncomfortable. You're on this hamster wheel, but you know how to do it, but you're exhausted, you're tired, you're fat, you just feel terrible, right? Mm-hmm. It's what you know, and you're surviving, right?
Yeah. Right. Good point. Yeah.
And sometimes you just and so when you're in that, if you're like, yeah, but you get to this point and you need to ask yourself that question, like, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Mm-hmm. Because whenever you stop growing and you get to where you're on that hamster wheel of exhaustion, I'm going to tell you, there is some fear that is holding you back. I'm afraid that if I actually hire another doctor in here, that we won't have enough people and it'll tank. When what actually happens is you double your capacity. And then you get more time to step out of the business to actually be managing it more, and it happens, right? So that what would I do if I was not afraid? I'm going to tell you is a good one, but Ursula is actually right. Don't think of it as a danger zone, as this thing to fear. It's just, well, I'm ready for the next chapter. I've done all I can do with this chapter, and now I'm just spinning my wheels, and it's actually making me tired a little bit.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So what do you think is the number one secret you wish all entrepreneurs knew about scaling their business?
So one of the things that I wish all entrepreneurs knew is to scale their business from the scenario of what would need to be in place, right, if they took a month off. We've had clients do this. We've had clients who have, ended up taking the month off. But this is this can bring up a lot of things for people. It's like, oh my gosh, my business would tank. I'm the magic in the business, or I'm the doctor. I'm thinking of a client we worked with who she and her husband owned a dental practice, and they worked all the time. They had 3 kids. They were always working. They were always stressed out. She came to one of our events and she got really excited about wanting to go from about a couple $100,000 in revenue to $1 million. She went home and told her husband. He's like, that just means I'd be working more, right? He was the dentist. He's like, I'm going to be working all the time. She's like, no, like it could happen and things would have to shift. So she drug him. She brought him to the next course that we offered, and he came. I'm sure like sometimes people come not as willingly, but he came, and then he got it, and he had a huge breakthrough. They set their 7-figure goal. They hit it, then they exceeded it, and then they started to help other dental practices in their area do the same thing. So they had to see what was possible first, and now they can take a whole month off if they want to, but they had to, like, when you start from that premise, it's going to challenge you, but it also tells you what needs to happen in your business next. Not only could you take a vacation at that point though, but you could sell your business. You start to see exit strategies that are possible.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I had Craig Keegan here was on the show, and he's a mergers and acquisitions and exit strategy person. He's worked with Kamora Lee Simmons, and he has this thing he does with he did with Kevin Costner. I mean, he's like a really high powered guy, right? And one of his things he determines, so Ursula is really good with this by saying this, he determines if a business is healthy is when he talks to the owner. If they come to him and go, what can I do? I think I might want to sell, or maybe we can take this somewhere. He goes, well, just tell me how long can you take off right now and be away from your business?
Yeah.
And he said, he goes, it's a healthy business if it's 6 weeks. For him, that is a pretty healthy business. And he said, but could you take 9 weeks? Anything over that means the more and more and more you need to be talking to a real strategist. He said, but the majority of people, they think, wow, I couldn't even take off 2. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's when, that is the real danger zone. So if you're thinking not to scale and you can't even do that, you're not in comfort.
Right. No, we did a Mediterranean cruise last summer, and I told my team, I'm like, I'm going to be gone. You can't even reach me. And then we were in Egypt. We ended in Egypt, and it was a phenomenal trip. And we knew the team couldn't get a hold of us. And it's a leap. It's a leap when you're gone for a month. And there's a way, like it's a great question to ask yourself what would have to be in place, because that's going to help you scale even faster, because it tells you what needs to be in place or what's not in place right now.
Yeah. And talking about achieving this great growth you were talking about with your clients, when you do the goal setting, if you want to do, like, what is the secret? If you said, okay, I want to 5 times my growth or 2 times my growth on an annual basis, is there a secret to that? Or is it just saying this is going to be my goal and reverse engineering it?
So I don't know if it's a secret. What our process is that we need to I love to create a model month, what I call a model month template. Not a sexy name, but it's like, all right, so at this, 5X or 10X level, what would you be at per month? Let's say you'd be at $100,000 per month. Okay. So we have the client build the $100,000 dream month. And what happens is it shows the business owner what needs to change for that to happen. A lot of times they're not charging enough. We see that often in service-based, like they need to raise their prices, or they need to start selling packages, or they recognize all of a sudden that their profit margins aren't where they need to be. It shows them what would need to happen. And then it starts to push on those pieces. From there, once we get the model month template created, then we can build the revenue model for like the next 12 months or more. And that's where we can start to reverse engineer. Inevitably, what happens is our clients, they hit that number faster than they thought they were going to. I remember a client, she was a product-based business, but she, in November, it was kind of the close of the year, she hit like 739,000 in 1 month. And she called me up and she's like, you're never going to believe this. And I said, pull out your revenue model right now. And so she did. And it was 700,000 on her revenue model. So she had projected this revenue. We had done all the things. She had done all the things. But when you have a revenue model, Jennifer, I really believe that then gets into your subconscious mind and you begin to act from that place. Now, provided you have support and you have people helping you get out of your way and you have the right team and the other things in place, that's the gift that keeps on giving, a powerful, aligned revenue model.
And it's just crazy. So, Ursula, this is funny. So, I'm going to tie the revenue model back to other things in your life. So,
Yeah.
if you know where you want to go and you powerfully write this down, exactly where you want to be. And I'm talking that this works not even just in business. So, I went
Everything.
to a dating person once. I was 5 years, I'd been single. My last one was terrible. And I was like, that's it. It's me. The problem is me. So what am I going to do? So I did a lot of work during that time. And then I got what I thought was ready. And so talked to this person. They said, well, tell me about your closet. Tell me about your bed. And I'm thinking, what? Like, what does this have to do with how fabulous I am?
Yeah.
What is even going on? And so at the time, I said, well, my closet's this. She goes, I want you to take a picture of it. So I took a picture. And of course, my closet had my clothes all up in my closet. I did, kind of clean it up a little bit because I had to take a picture of it. But anyway, it was
Sure.
still, it wasn't completely different. And then my bed, and on one side of the bed, I had pulled up like I would just move a bunch of pillows and stuff like that. And so this one little area was there. And then at that time I had my old cat would sit there too. And she goes, the universe doesn't like a void, and it will fill it with what you want. I want you to write out what you want. And I would like for you to open up space in your closet and have that part of the bed done out, so that it is ready for someone to be into your life. But I had to write it out. I had to be very specific and intentional. This is my day. This is how this person is into my day. Just like you would do with a revenue model, but it's different. It's on the other side.
Yeah.
And literally within 3 months of that, the person that my love of my life showed up.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, Ursula is not, there's a lot of ways that this works. So I love talking to you because you and I do very similar things, right? And I like the fact that you get so excited about it. So tell me a little bit, what's the biggest thing about what you do that really just jazzes you up for, what you do? Working with these people.
When I see clients get the results and they're shocked, like when I get the email that says, you're never going to believe this, or the text that says, you're never going to believe this, I can think of a client. She was actually in the construction industry. So not a lot of women in the construction industry. And she'd been at the same revenue amount for 20 years, Jennifer, $500,000 a year for 20 years. That was her income ceiling. You get a lot of people who come to us, they're stuck at a certain income ceiling. And I asked her, I'm like, what do you want? And she wanted $1 million business. Okay. In about a year and a half, she not only created $1 million in revenue, she exceeded that at 1.2 million. And I think back to the moment she started her coaching with us, and she looked at me, she just said, Ursula, if there's one thing I don't want you to ever do, it's this. I don't want you to ever call me a salesperson. And of course, for me, I have a master's degree in psychology, which has served me well. I was like, ding, 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 ding. Like, that's the thing. So I followed that thread and I was like, what do you not like about salespeople? She's like, I hate salespeople. I hate selling, right? She knew all the things she hated. And this was her block. We shifted her limiting belief from, hating selling to this. It's an I am statement. I am a professionally persistent problem solver. She started picking up the phone. She started calling past clients, past referral partners, people she'd done business with for 20 years. They were already around her. They were thrilled to hear from her. It was kind of like, where have you been? Like for people who are listening, like who are those people in your world? Who are those referral partners? Who are those clients, those patients who already love you, right? She picked up the phone, made some connections, and just like a year and a half blew through those numbers after 20 years. That is what lights me up.
See, that's exciting. And that goes back to what we were talking about. Remember, the theme was 3 easy steps. So following up, limiting beliefs. So you tell me what the 3 easy steps are so I don't get them wrong. But
So number 1, get really clear on your goal. What do you want to create? Which I want to talk about before we wrap up. I want to talk about that piece. Some people get frustrated with that piece, and I'm feeling that. So number 1, get clear on your goal. So let's say it's your revenue goal, right? Second, ask what your number 1 limiting belief is about that and clear that limiting belief. Because once you do, third, the next steps are going to show up. You're going to start to see the next steps. A lot of times we find that those next steps were already around you. You just weren't willing to take them. You were not feeling it. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's literally right there.
Okay. So you guys got it. So anyway, guys, we've been talking, we're at the end already, but it's been so quick. We've been talking to Ursula Mentjes. So you will need to go to Ursula Inc. That's URSULA Inc. Inc. mykajabi, M-Y and Kajabi, KAJABI.com/resources. If that's too long, just go to superclinicproject.com, click on our school link. We'll have everything for you in there, and we'll have it in our show notes too. Thank you so much, Ursula, for being here today. It went really fast.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Those are great free resources. And the last thing, if it's okay, I wanted to share really quickly that for those of you who are struggling figuring out what you want, and it kind of goes to your example about dating, write down the 10 things that you are tolerating in your business right now that bug you. And next to them, write what you want, the opposite of that, because that is what you actually want. And the tools that we have in the free resources, you don't even have to give us your email address. Just click on the link. The stuff is right there. There's a class at the bottom, another free class that you could register for, but you don't even have to provide an email address to get the free gifts that we shared today. So thank you, Jennifer. So much fun being here.
Thank you. And guys, if you like this, be sure to like, follow, share. You can review. And if you have a question for Ursula, we make it very easy. You can click the button, leave a voicemail, and we might bring her back and she can answer your questions for you. But we will send it to her. And one way you'll get your question answered. But thanks again, guys. Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Super Clinic Project podcast. If you like what you hear, subscribe and stay tuned for further episodes of the Super Clinic Project podcast.